This is our first Inside session back after a long pause, and I'm so grateful you could all be here today. Inside sessions are basically kind of hybrid get to know you events and also informative casual Zoom meetings with the AWFC members to learn something new and maybe meet someone new. And I'm excited y'all are here because I became involved with your organization this year through a writer friend. And I think this organization is really important for composers to know about because the resources are amazing. So maybe we can start by going through some of the programs. I know there's cross-border conversations, there's many. So maybe we can go through each of those.
Of course, I'm going to kick off and then throw to Rebecca. So the organization is called Screencraft Works. It's a community interest company, which means it's a not-for-profit organization. We're a virtual community, and we comprise broadly three programs, which is, as you say, Connor, cross-border mentoring, and we're so thrilled that you are one of our mentors this year. Cross-border talks, where we always have at least one first-time speaker involved in any cluster of speakers for a talk, and cross-border mentoring, which is bringing together members of our community. And our primary aim is for production and post-production roles. So it's easier actually to describe who we don't tend to support. We don't tend to support actors and directors because we feel that often actors and directors have a lot of support. However, of course, there can be exceptions to that rule. Also, what has come about through the needs of our community, our growing community, is a sense and a desire for people to be matched across developing countries and developed countries, and also across diasporic communities around the world, and also serving particular needs for displaced people, whether that be refugees or people in exile who are from the film and television community. So those are people that we tend to support as well. And through those networks and interconnections, the outcomes that we love to think that we are creating is creating a kind and welcoming community where small interventions and acts of kindness can help support people's careers in different ways through creating a myriad connections. So that's a little bit about our organizations, along with, I forgot one, which is cross-border coffees, which is one-off virtual chats as well. So I'm just going to now turn to Rebecca.
Yes, we have recently put together, with the voices of our community, a summary of that, a little video. We've tried putting it on share screen, it doesn't really work. It's a 2-minute video. If I put it in chat, I don't know if people feel okay just to stay on mute, watch it for 2 minutes, and then we come back, because, yeah. Click on it, watch it on YouTube and see what you think.
Perfect.
In 2 minutes.
Here we go. I'll see everybody in 2 minutes. Okay, I'm done. I'm finished.
I'm going to pull out then. I'm looking at Ruth's eyes, trying to see if people are still concentrating on one screen or the other. So that summarizes everything we're doing. So starting with the mentoring, we've now had 3 mentoring cohorts. About 70 people have been through or are still being mentored, so 70 partnerships. And we've recently been talking to some of the current mentors and asking them what they feel they're learning, what is happening. Many of the mentees are talking about the benefit of getting some really useful, honest, but kind feedback. And some of that might be actually on their music projects or on some sound design or on an editing project. then they're also working with their mentors on how to present themselves interestingly when communicating online, how to sort their CVs in a way that brings to the fore whatever that particular person is looking for. We've had discussions of how good it is to learn to navigate a global industry, but also to make some connections. And some of our mentees are connecting with each other and may already be collaborating or are hoping to collaborate in the future. And we have some lovely projects. Then another sound designer was saying it's really useful to connect with another female sound designer. All of you will know the male domination in some of these segments of our industry. So finding those connections and then finding the work fruitful and productive. And then what's also lovely talking to our mentors is they're saying it's boosted their confidence, given them new perspectives, or taught them something about themselves, taught them something about other countries and their industry. And we love the fact that the mentors are also giving positive feedback, that they are gaining something as well as giving back. And we would encourage people to think about being mentored themselves, but also being a mentor, because a mentor only needs to be a couple of stages ahead of you. So many people who don't trust that they can mentor. There is a level about being a critical friend who has a bit more experience, but it doesn't have to be that you are a hotshot, you know, and you've been in your career for 40 years. Everyone's a bit of a hotshot to the person who's 2 months below them. So the feedback is very positive of the benefits of these international mentoring that is slightly different from some localized mentoring where people will be meeting in person, maybe shadowing. This can be more holistic, discussing different areas of your career. Elizabeth, back to you.
Yeah, I think just also drawing on what you're saying, Rebecca, I think we also have found that very much the range of career stages is very interesting, both from absolute beginners right through to very experienced people. We're also finding people who have been mentees are becoming mentors. Also, just that richness of different perspectives to bring to the table and how people conduct their jobs in different countries is really stimulating ideas within one's own country as well. What also is really lovely is because we are across a number of disciplines, people are understanding more about how their own role fits into the wider picture of production. So I've just popped a link of our latest cohort in chat, and just sort of picking out some of the names and disciplines. And obviously, Connor, you're we're thrilled to have you listed here, but just across anything ranging from an audio post-production student who is still at university and is matched with a sound designer and artist in Germany, plus Michaela De Nichilo, who is from Italy, and she is a sound designer, and looking at where does sound design end and where does composing begin, which is kind of a really rich topic of discussion, right through to a sound engineer from South Africa. Her name is Stacey Lee Hellingberg. This is her second year of mentoring. And she's a very established sound engineer in South Africa, right through to Connor, your very good self. And also, interestingly, a same career stage match, which is more of a buddying between a sound engineer in the UK, a composer and sound engineer in the UK, and a composer and musician from Sweden. So that also is a really nice, rich combination that's also worked out really, really well. So we love looking at that range, which also actually stimulates our talks and leads me seamlessly, if I may say so, into mentioning our cross-border conversations, which we draw the topics from what our mentoring group and our Screencraft Works community want to speak about. So we will both suggest topics and also throw to the community, because the talks are about getting it right for you, our members, not something that Rebecca and I choose to hear about. But that richness of topic is coming from and stimulated by those in the mentoring community. So we have one about to come up. Again, Connie, you're familiar with this, but we are looking at the relationship, how to combine sound and picture for the best animated storytelling. Everyone here is welcome to come to that, because all our activity is free at point of use. Because we think that mentors, we're very glad that mentors are giving their time for free, and we don't think that we should be charging mentees. And so please sign up and hear the talk. And also you can see some of our past topics also on our YouTube channel, which Rebecca, I didn't know whether you wanted to pick up on.
Yes, I was about to. So yes, all of our previous talks are on our YouTube channel, so you can catch up. You can scroll across there, and just putting that in chat, and see ones that might interest you and catch up on them. And we've had a range in the past of cross-border conversations, and then also cross-border careers talks. So the conversations are different members of our mentoring community at different career stages having a discussion. The careers talks are slightly tighter, usually somebody in the industry talking about something that we think could be useful, setting up as a sole trader, working with international production companies. We've had one on how to handle difficult conversations at work. So, and we've just had one on editing basics. So those ones are simpler. They're also all on our YouTube channel with subtitles, whereas the conversations are about the mentoring community coming together, discussing something that interests them, but maybe bringing different perspectives from their different countries. And yeah, YouTube channel for you to scroll through and see what interests you, and then via our website you can get transcripts if that works for you better. Although I'm assuming you're all composers, you are all audio people who probably will want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And we've been really thrilled to start to connect with your community. I mean, composing is so, it sounds really naff, but it's just so beautiful to be, I mean, the art of music and the joy of sound design are just so stunning. And we're really, really thrilled to start to move to connect with people like your very good selves and bring you into our community. It's the first mentoring group that has started to connect with composers, and we're delighted. And so anything we can do to support you, we're delighted to start engaging with you. The third program really is networking, and networking is obviously in the broadest sense of the word. People hang out after our talks or connect in different ways, either through individual cross-border coffees, but we also do have specific networking events, which we'd be so glad to welcome you to. And so I'm just seeing if I've got the link for that. Yes, just down here, which I can pop in chat. Our next one is the 27th of September. See if I can pop that in. Oh, let's have a look at that one. Yeah, I'll pop that in. Better to put it twice than not at all.
There's a difference. Yeah. Okay. One is the conversation link and one is the networking link.
Fantastic. So yes, and in terms of outcomes, either, you know, for our community and what we wish to get from it for on your behalf is outcomes can be just simply broadening perspectives and stimulating new ways of thinking, right through to collaboration for potential new projects or potential new work, whether that be on site or virtual, and also starting to get outcomes for specific jobs we're hearing about that people have enriched their careers and obtained work through our networks and recommendations. I use the term recommendation loosely. Obviously, Rebecca and I are not in the position to recommend someone per se, because we're an enabling platform rather than an agency. But we're very glad to point people to people we feel are worth a conversation, so that producers and other hirers can make their own assessment of someone. So we're very glad to enable that. And then I'm just wondering if it's worth touching on how to join us as a member.
Yeah, well, I was going to sort of set some of the cross-border coffees, which actually straddle networking and mentoring. They're somewhere in between, because they're a one-off chat that people have. So sometimes that will be, I really need help with one specific problem. Can you find somebody who can help me with that problem? Which might be more towards a one-off mentoring type thing. And then sometimes it's, I'm moving country, can you connect me with somebody in the new country, when that becomes more like networking. So the coffees are rather nicely in between the two, as a different thing, but it's this idea that we can connect people in the way that you would do when, if you're in LA and you would catch up or be introduced by somebody who knew you both. It's a way of doing that, obviously, via Zoom and across time zones. That is rather nice. But yes, and then all of these are open to any of our members, and membership is free, and I will put the link in the chat. So it's just a simple form to sign up so that you receive our newsletter, which comes once a month, and can participate in our programs. There is nothing more to it than that, but it's a way of logging and knowing who is in our community. So do please all sign up, and you will then receive our October newsletter and get in touch with us about anything that you'd like to know a bit more about.
Thank you, that's great.
Yeah,
I think that's
email
wonderful.
address in as well.
Perfect. Great. Yeah,
and Connor, I was also meant to mention that we're also now have people engaged with our community from over 60 countries and growing.
wow.
So again, that's just a real joy and excitement. And people are on WhatsApp groups within our community. They might create their own little subgroups or be part of wider WhatsApp groups and just saying, hey, I'm about to film in South Africa. Can anyone help me with X or Y? And it's just lovely to see everyone spinning around the globe, making connections and enriching their careers and helping others as well, which is a lovely feeling.
I think that's wonderful. And I also think it's kind of rare to find something like this, because a lot of opportunities for composers are usually financially exclusive. You have to pay a lot of money. I mean, I'm just being honest, they're expensive. Or they're highly competitive and they take like 2 people or 5 people, you know, some tiny number. So I think this program is very unique in that way, which I think is great. And I think too, there are plenty of composers who don't go to some sort of continuing education program, and they can learn a lot from something like this. Because that's pretty much my mentee she has a master's degree in composition. I got my master's in film composition. So there's some crossover, but also sometimes not that much, because my degree is much more in like the film scoring side and hers is more in like classical composition. So we've been able to cover a lot of topics that maybe she would have never even thought about, like PROs, your performance rights organization, having a watertight contract. I'm a bit anal about that kind of stuff, so I'm like, let me help you. And it's stuff that I wish someone had helped me with, when I first started out, and I think there's a lot you can learn too from sharing information with someone, like what's actually useful. And I'm finding with my mentoring situation that the practical stuff is really useful. And we haven't even gotten to reviewing work yet because I've been doing mostly technical stuff first. But she told me that the most valuable thing so far for her has been someone holding her accountable, which I can see why. She works a day job. I have historically worked a day job as well as composing. So I can see how having a mentor you meet once a month to do your check-in, having someone just checking in on you can be encouraging because it's easy to forget your passion when you're trying to make money. So I think this program is great for anyone too who maybe can't work full time in what they want to do at the moment. I mean, to be honest, it's a hard thing to do. So those are my thoughts so far. I'm loving it. I think I'm trying to recommend it to everyone I know. And I just think the community aspect is so important. Post-pandemic, I feel connecting with people is more important than ever. And not even just for work, just for peace of mind, like having people to enjoy life with simply. So I think all of these things play in, and I hope some of y'all get involved if you choose. Obviously no pressure, but I don't see why not. So let's see. I have a few other questions that are kind of random, but fun maybe.
Yeah.
I was curious. Well, actually, I have a lot of questions. Let's see. Which one should I start with? I'm curious, what are both of your backgrounds, and how did you conceive the idea for Screencraft Works? That's my first question.
Absolutely delighted to say. I was just going to say one very quick thing off the back of what you said, Connor, is a lot of people who are freelance feel very isolated. So it is a way to at least connect virtually, and includes the widest range of intersectional representation, including disabled people who may not be able to travel. So we're really pleased about you saying that, and also, of course, the range of learnings can be from practical, technical, sort of more editorial, but and also soft skills on not, saying goodbye to imposter syndrome, and also the soft skills of how to approach people well and retain relationships. So that it's interesting what you touched on. So my background is as a documentary maker and then a commissioner for factual programs. I worked for a good decade for Discovery Networks International. And then I ran Sheffield DocFest in Yorkshire in the UK. And I would say the things that have the sort of connective tissue between those three parts of my career have been a drive to celebrate and better understand and support below the line, as this dreadful phrase, below the line credits for international people working around the world. So that's something that's always driven me. And then in came the pandemic and Brexit, which was fracturing people around the world rather than bringing people together. And then Rebecca and I met. So over to Rebecca to continue our story.
Yes, so just splitting back, my background is I started off as a lawyer, did that for a number of years and then escaped. So I was did a few things along the way, and then ended up setting up and running an independent cinema in my local town and programming that. So I was running and programming that for 15 years. And as I emerged from doing that for various reasons and deciding it was time to shift stay in the industry, but I wanted to go freelance, do some producing. That's when I was introduced to Elizabeth, who had been mulling this idea about how to celebrate people in the technical industry, part of the industry. So we sat down, and over a lot of coffee and a certain amount of cake, we We started working towards what we wanted to do, what we could do, and how we wanted to keep it. Certainly at the moment, certainly in the first couple of years, it's the two of us. And we wanted to make some small, important differences rather than trying to leap out and change the entire world and fail, because, you know, we can't actually change the entire world, but see what we can do in small ways that actually can make a difference. And then we just cracked on. And that's the joy of it being so small, is we decide to do something and then we do it. We don't have to run it to a board, we don't have to run it to 15 committees. And the same when we get some feedback, or when we get introduced to some composers or something, we can go, we haven't got composers, right? Let's, you know, we can move with the people who are in our community rather than having to shoehorn everything into the square that we created. We're enjoying the flexibility of that space that we've created so that we can try to meet the needs of the community, or the people who find us.
That's amazing. I didn't realize it was just the two of you. That's incredible. I think as composers too, this is a little segue, being able to work intimately with someone else is the most important thing. I love that you two work together. I frequently work with a co-composer who, she can't hear me because she's not on the call, because she's doing actually a cross-border coffee right now. It's a small world, y'all. She, first of all, saved my bouteille today because I couldn't log into the meeting, and she was like, I've got a wraparound hookup, I can do it. She's brilliant. And I was like, wow, I would have never thought of that. A. B, thank you. But what I'm getting at is having someone to have your back like that is so amazing and important. And I think community is, I mean, that's my passion, my hobby, whatever, community building. And I think Screencraft Works is unique because if you think about the world as a web, and each like little spider has its own web that connects to other webs, like every spider has a lot of connections, a lot of strings to other people. So even just bringing one person into this community really brings in like a much larger number than that, which is amazing to think about. And with such a wonderful mission statement, I don't see why anyone would not want to join. But I think it's really impressive what y'all have done with just two people. That's incredible.
Well, it's thanks to the wonderful people in our community that we've been able to bring in. And also, as you say, the collaborations, which we are mostly in the same city, but you don't have to be, and how good it is to collaborate, because you can do a certain amount on our own. But when you're collaborating, I mean, we discussed the fact that we have a lot of complementary skills. We have overlaps, but we also have complementary skills, so that we can pick up different bits of what needs doing, or pass the baton between us. And that's what we're hoping to facilitate as well. And the fact that one can do it in the same place, but one can also now do it across the globe.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's something that we can't emphasize enough. This is a massive shout out to all the volunteers who give back in our community. I mean, we are an enabling and connecting platform to amplify underrepresented voices. And without the voluntary support from mentors, the voluntary support of those who assist with our website or our community video, take part in talks to support the first-time speakers and encourage the first-time speakers, we would not exist without everyone with their acts of kindness, and acts of kindness are contagious. We're very mindful to stay on the right side of asking little bits of volunteering, as opposed to exploitation of people. There is no obligation to volunteer, and we are all aware, having been freelancers in our own life, or continuing to be freelancers in our own life, that people should be paid for their time. But where in our community all of us are volunteers, including Rebecca and me, we just are hoping people can say to themselves, what is proportionate that I can give back, that I may benefit myself from in different ways as well. So that's how our community works. In terms of the nuts and bolts of running it, where of course we need insurance and we need other bits and bobs to keep the backroom going, that's a big shout out to our sponsors and supporters who enable us to do that. For example, Genelec, or our education partners, Brunel University London, who have a particular remit of international students and supporting students who bring informal qualifications and experience to the table, as well as formal education qualifications. So their mission and values are very much chime with our mission and values. So this is how we're able to run our enabling and connecting platform and community.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I have so many thoughts. Let me stick to some of my questions because now I'm thinking of other things. Oh boy, okay. Oh, this is kind of a vague question, but it's something I think about a lot. What are both of what aspects of community do you both find the most important? Because I presume that is why you started this organization, is to lean into community and to build community. If you could boil it down to like an idea or two, what do you think is the most important? Why do we need community today in 2023?
We are humans and we're storytellers, and we are actually, that's how we all keep going, in my view. That's what I need. I can have my time alone, but I need all those connections to keep sane. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite simple. And I want those connections to be as varied as possible. I don't like getting stuck in a monoculture. That's the other thing, just to learn from everyone, to see everyone and not to get stuck in your lane.
I agree. I mean, in terms of boiling it down, it's the importance of human connection, and where, of course, it's wonderful to be physically connected, but where one can't, it's lovely to be virtually connected. So the importance of human connection, I would say, is probably boiling it down. But so I'm going to say use I, so I keep saying we. But I feel very concerned about how divided the world is, and how social media is a joy in many ways, and the virtual world can have so many benefits, but it also has really been can be very vicious as well. And it's no secret that I remain devastated by Brexit and people being pulled apart, and Britain remains very divided as a country as a result of that. I love people being connected globally. So Rebecca and I were both very keen to find ways to bring people back together across the globe. Also, finally, there are beginning to be some conversations in Britain about being accountable to its colonial past, and its becoming rich off the back of enslaved people, and a proper look at desperate community connections. It's late in the day and it's too small as yet, but it's beginning. And if we can play our part in bringing diasporic community people together who wish to be connected across the diasporic community, or developing and developed worlds and countries, then that's a good thing.
Yes, I love that. I think that just really struck me, because every story deserves to be told. And you're carving a pathway for people who maybe don't have the resources to find people who do have the resources, and that story can get told that way, which is incredible. I have actual goosebumps, not to be dramatic, but it's just beautiful.
I mean, thank you for your response on that. And I think one other thing that Rebecca and I have tried to do is, the beauty of virtual is our networking events often are co-hosted. In fact, the next one that's coming up, we decided to simplify it, because we're chewing around with the people who come on. How do you describe your professional identity? So we decided to take a bit of a theme and dig into that. But often we have one or two additional co-hosts for an event to bring together groups that wouldn't normally, or organizations and their members who wouldn't normally connect with each other. For example, our last co-hosted event was Screencraft Works, Women in Film and Television Jamaica, and UK Muslim Film. And those three groups may never manage to crash into each other around the world. So it was lovely to see people connecting and continuing their conversations after the event, and seeing their craft and their ways of looking at the world in new ways.
Yes. That's something we, AWFC, is starting to do as well, is try to have joint events. So we just had a picnic on Saturday with the Composers Diversity Collective, and it was so much fun. And I thought, why haven't we been doing this all along? This is absolutely fabulous. We had a huge event recently with the women cinematographers, women filmmakers, and it was a hoot. That was actually my favorite event we've ever done. And that was it was in the summer recently. So that all I think is so important. It's just, I know there's a lot of work to do across all film with the strikes and everything happening here. I'm sure it's probably eventually going to affect everybody else everywhere else. But sticking together, it's so cheesy sounding, but it's so important because we're all artists and we all want to make art at the end of the day. And like focusing on our little petty differences really distracts from the actual art making process.
Yeah, everyone wants to make the art, but also everyone deserves to be paid for making the art, and we need to rally together on both of those.
Yes, I love that. Well, we only have a couple minutes left. Does anybody have questions, either in the chat or verbally? We could do some questions from the audience. Ricky?
Hi, actually, don't have any question, but I just want to say, I'm so glad. I think I know most of the people here. I know like Connor, and thank you so much for doing the AWFC Spotlight interview for me. And then we actually know each other in a couple of events. And then Rebecca, like, thank you for like putting me in touch with composers who are willing to like have a coffee chat with me. And then Elizabeth, thank you for like inviting me to be the speaker in the future. Is that like cross-border conversation? And like, just thank you so much. And I just feel like so welcome in this amazing community. Yeah, just want to thank you guys for your help. Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Ricky. You're a valuable member of our community and also a great friend. That's the other thing that I love about community building is you start with someone like just meeting them and then they become a friend and you're like, wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa, good to see you too.
Me too. I didn't realize I still had that background on. Hello all, I just wanted to say hi. Melissa Axel, lyricist. I use just Melissa or they, them pronouns here in LA. And just wanted to thank you all for doing this today and giving us a deep dive into all the wonderful things that you're doing, and the intentions and heart behind it means a lot. And I'm excited. I just signed up. And I think I actually typed SEL instead of the AWFC in the reference.
It's fine.
Because I'm like looking at Connor and like, I just saw you at the SEL thing.
Exactly.
In my brain. But it is, that's just kind of to the point of, you know, the intersection of all the networks and circles and communities and the larger community. So happy to connect with you all and looking forward to the upcoming virtual events and hopefully some Zoom coffee, as I like to call it, Zoofy.
Ooh,
Oh, I'd rather like that.
That's great. Thank y'all, all of you, so much for being here. It means a lot. This is our first session back. I had some issues with tech today, so thank you all for bearing with me. And simply thank you for being here and taking time out of your day. I'm very encouraged by this community. I love it. It just feels good. I don't know. It's simple, but maybe that's maybe that's that's a good thing.
I think simple often is very good, actually. Simple, good,
Yeah,
healthy connection. That's wonderful.
exactly.
And
I look
Connor,
forward to being with y'all.
Connor,
What were you saying?
I was going to say, we all feel your pain on technical. So as Melissa says, no worries at all. And thank you for being such a wonderful host and inviting Screencraft Works to into your community.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. I know it was short notice, and I look forward to our two communities becoming one community as time goes on, because I really think that's going to happen. And I hope everyone has a beautiful week. I'm actually off to the airport to pick up my whole family right now. So it's going to be fun. So thank you all for being here so much. It really means a lot to me.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Definitely. Bye-bye.